So if you ever feel like you don't have enough hours in the day, waking up early is one of the best ways to prioritize the things you want to do and to put yourself on an upward spiral. And this is coming from somebody who was never really a morning person, especially growing up and in high school and college. But over the years, as I've tested and tried new things, I've sort of converted myself into a morning person. And now I wake up at 5 a.m. every day for weekdays. And it's given me a lot of time back to do the things I want to do, like journaling, for example, or some of the other things I've talked about on this channel. So in this video, I want to talk about some of the things I've learned about how to wake up early without feeling tired and how to do it consistently without giving up your social life. The main reason I decided to start waking up super early is because I started to feel like the days would go by super quickly. I don't know if you've ever had the experience of waking up when it's kind of late, like around noon or even later, and it already feels like the day's over before it really began. Every habit, every goal that I've set has only become easier whenever I've consistently woken up early. Even though it's the same amount of hours in a day, 2 extra hours in the morning is really different than 2 extra hours at night. There's less distractions, you're not thinking about lunch or what you have to do later in the day, and you can just really focus on the things that you want to do. And it doesn't have to be productivity or workout related, which is what people usually talk about when they talk about waking up early. Usually I journal in the morning, which has been really helpful. I made a video about that if you want to check that out. If you're curious, this is what my current daily routine looks like. So I wake up at 5:08 every day. I just like that number. And I start working at 6. So I have about an hour before I start working. And then I do 4 hours of deep work every weekday from 6 to 10. After I've done 4 hours of deep work, it's only still 10 a.m. and it feels like the entire day is ahead of me. And then afterwards, I'll work out, I'll do other work, but that's pretty much what it looks like. There's something really powerful about doing 4 hours of deep focus work and then looking at your clock and it's only 10 a.m. It makes it feel like the entire day is limitless, and for me, it feels like I have more energy and motivation throughout the day. Like, I don't know if it's a placebo effect, but it definitely works for me. I'm lucky enough that I can control my own schedule, which means that even after an 8-hour day, it's still only 2 or 3 p.m., which leaves the rest of the day for more creative stuff like making YouTube videos, playing guitar, or anything I want to. But I was never really a morning person. Back in high school, it was super hard for me to wake up at 8 a.m. And I remember on the weekends, I would usually sleep in until 11 or 12. And it didn't really change until a certain point in college when I decided that I had to start waking up early because there was just too many things that I wanted to do and not enough hours in the day. Like, I had so much work I had to do for my CS degree, but I still wanted to play guitar, I still wanted to learn Japanese and work out every day. So the only way was for me to wake up 4 hours earlier, so I had the maximum amount of brain power so I could focus and do the things that I wanted to do. I don't think I would have even started journaling if I hadn't started waking up earlier. I definitely think it's one of the best investments that I've made. And of course, there's times I fall off and times I stop waking up super early, but I always know that that is the target to aim for, to wake up as early as possible. I think if you're trying to do something difficult, you're trying to do something new or something harder than anything you've done before, one of the best things that you can do is to start waking up early and to prioritize doing that thing. So if you tried waking up early in the past and it hasn't really worked, or you're thinking about doing it again, there's 5 tips that I found to make waking up super early actually quite easy. And that's what I'm going to share with you now. The first thing is a QR code alarm clock. So I've tested a bunch of different alarm clocks, including daylight alarm clocks, like an alarm clock that rolls off the table and you need to catch it. And the most effective thing that I found is a app called QR Alarm. It's called QR Alarm on Android and Alarmy on iOS. But basically, you set it up where the only way for you to turn off the alarm is to scan a QR code that you print out and you put in a different room. And it's super useful because it forces you to get out of bed, and you can disable snoozing so that doesn't become a habit. After I started doing this, I legit have never snoozed even once. Well, first is because you can't even snooze. But now I wake up on the first sound of the alarm. So I would recommend using this if you find the actual waking up part to be difficult or you often sleep through your alarms. The second hardest part about waking up early is trying to not feel bad or sleep deprived. And this is where this next thing comes in, and it's a daylight therapy lamp. So I talked about this in a previous video before. So this light is actually not a normal lamp. It's a daylight therapy lamp, which goes up to 20,000 lumens. And that's like 20 or 30 times brighter than a normal lamp. I used to use the smaller one that works just as well, that fits on my desk. So I'll link that in the description if you're interested. It basically mimics the sun to kind of trick your brain into thinking that it's already daytime to regulate your circadian rhythm. The effect is that when you view this lamp, like either in your bathroom or your desk early in the morning, you wake up faster, feeling more refreshed. And after you use this for a while, you start naturally waking up at this time without feeling tired. I think the next best thing is to use automated lights to turn on in the morning when you want to wake up. And I use both and it's super effective. The next thing is a temperature controlled mattress. So this is something that definitely is more of an investment, but personally I think it's easily worth it. How it works is that it basically is a mattress topper and it keeps the top layer of your bed cool, which not only helps you fall asleep faster, but also helps you stay asleep. So the reason why I think it's so effective is that first, it helps you get deeper sleep. And second, it increases your sleep efficiency. So whereas in the past, I needed maybe 9 or 10 hours to feel refreshed waking up, now I only need 7 hours to feel refreshed in the morning. So it's literally helped me save like 2 hours of sleeping time every day. The one I use is called Sleep, which I'll include in the description, but recently they switched to a subscription model where you have to pay monthly. There are some other ones on Amazon that you can probably find that I think they do exactly the same thing. The fourth tip is tracking your sleep. This probably doesn't sound that beneficial, but from personal experience, tracking your sleep is sort of like tracking your weight. Just writing down and just being conscious of when you go to bed and when you wake up helps you get better sleep and prioritize your sleep in your life. If you can, I would recommend getting a fitness tracker. I've pretty much tried all of them and I was gonna make a video about that if you're interested. But if you're thinking of using a fitness tracker, I would say just use the one that you think won't bother you when you're sleeping. You also don't really need to even use a fitness tracker. Like for a while, I was just tracking my sleep in my journal, writing down when I went to bed and when I woke up. But it's super useful to be able to see how consistent I am with going to bed on time or waking up on time and make adjustments there. The last tip is to set up an accountability system. I think this is probably one of the most effective tips out of all these, but it's the hardest to set up. Ideally, you would have a friend and you can meet up early in the morning, or there's some way of keeping yourself accountable. Recently, I started a company with a friend and it's probably one of the hardest projects that I've started, but it's been super fun. Because we decided to meet up and start working together at 6, it's sort of an accountability system to wake up at 5 or even earlier. And it's been super effective for me. But now there's services like FocusMate where you can schedule a time with an accountability partner that they match you with. And you can schedule that early in the morning so you force yourself to wake up. Yeah, if you try this, I will say at least try to stick it out for a month. Like the first month is probably the hardest. And after that, it actually becomes quite easy and second nature. And it's definitely a worthwhile investment. As for how early you should wake up, I would say that's really up to you. But I prefer to wake up before the sun rises, which is usually about 5 or sometimes earlier, and to go to bed when the sun goes down. It feels like super serene and super quiet with no distractions, and it's like the most productive time of the day for me. If you're trying to pursue something and you have a day job or you have school, I'd recommend waking up 2 or 3 hours earlier so you have that time and brain power to yourself. But yeah, that's pretty much it about waking up early. Even though I pretty much was talking about why waking up early is so powerful, I will say that there is a magic to staying up late, especially for creativity and things like journaling. Like there's been times where I just have so much more ideas or creative ideas late in the night. So I think it's helpful to think of your life as different seasons. And if there's a season where you're trying to do something that's difficult or something that you've never done before, then maybe it's useful to wake up early. Just want to share something that I've done that has helped me a lot in optimizing my life. And if you try it, I hope it helps you too. I'll see you in the next one. Let's get it.